Gamble Pavilion on the campus of the University of Connecticut. This is the American on ESPN. From snowy Storrs, Coppin State from the MEAC, taking on the UConn Huskies. Welcome inside Gamble, Eric Freed alongside Julian Vianney, as the Huskies get set to take on the Eagles from Coppin. Kevin Ollie in that huddle in this sixth season. His Huskies 6-3 on the year. And the coaching matchup, an interesting one here today, because Juan Dixon is the head coach at Coppin State. He does not have a warm spot in the hearts of UConn fans. He went for 27, knocking UConn out of the NCAA tournament in 2002 en route to Maryland's title. For his Eagles, they have played a challenging non-conference schedule, to say the least. They are without their very best player, DeJuan Clayton. He is out with an injury. Keandre Fair, one player to watch. He's a Connecticut native, played his high school ball at Weaver High School in Hartford. UConn coming off a loss to Syracuse at Madison Square Garden at the Jimmy V Classic. Jalen Adams leading the Huskies in scoring at nearly 20 points per game. Eric Cobb getting the start at the 4, played a season-high 17 minutes against Syracuse before fouling out. He scored 6 points. Bill Jacobson, Nate Green, John Campbell, our officiating crew. Hats off, warm hats off.
Made it in the snow. To
the fans who have made it through the snow here in this part of Connecticut. About 6 inches expected before all is said and done. Well, it's the first snow of the year. It's like people act like it's 6 feet.
I know.
UConn in the home white, Coppin in the gold as we get started here, and an early turnover for UConn. Taking care of the basketball has been a big issue for the Huskies, and Coppin comes out firing with Keandre Fair knocking down the 3.
You're right, and that's something that Kevin Ollie even said to us before the game. We've got to do a better job taking care of the ball, because in the big games, when you're turning it over, it's a struggle. Against Syracuse, they had 13 in the first half, so they want to see that cleaned up.
On the cut to the basket, Vital can't get the layup. The follow-up is missed by Diarra, and a rebound for the Eagles. Karan Davis, graduate transfer, runs the point. Cut to the basket, and an easy 2 for Adam Troyer, a junior out of New York City. First year with Coppin after transferring from Broward Community College.
In a game like this, Coppin State has nothing to lose. They can let it all hang out and play with freedom.
Coppin coming off a loss in their home opener. Yes, their home opener in December. They have been on the road all season long, playing guaranteed games, and here is a foul called on the Eagles, Lamar Morgan. They lost that game to Navy 70-53 after playing their first 8 games of the year on the road.
9 newcomers on this Coppin team. They've been inconsistent, obviously, especially defensively. That's something Juan Dixon wants them to do better with. But this is a team trying to find themselves and figure it out and get better. So all of these things are teaching tools for Juan Dixon.
Well, you could say the very same thing on the other benches. You take a look at the newcomers here for Coppin State, but what you just said about Coppin State and about Juan Dixon, you could say the same thing about UConn and Kevin Ollie. Yes, they've won 6 games, but they are trying to figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this team, too, is wanting to play with something to prove. Basically, they've got to prove themselves all over again, Kevin Ollie's unit, and he's got a lot of transfers, 8 newcomers on that squad. And he's had to change his starting lineup a bunch of times this season as well.
Jump hook is short. Rebound for Eric Cobb. Isaiah Whaley into the game quickly for UConn. Another turnover for the Huskies. It has been a struggle for UConn. Yes, they played Oregon and won that game, and they suffered the loss to Syracuse, suffered the loss to Arkansas, but against some of these mid-major teams, Columbia, Stony Brook, BU, Monmouth, they have battled and struggled, and it has not come easy for UConn this year.
And you wouldn't expect that with experienced guards in the backcourt, which UConn does have now. Tariq Gilbert clearly is injured right now, which is a struggle for them, not having him. He hurt his shoulder in that Michigan State game, but yeah, they've got some experienced guards, so that shouldn't happen.
What a start for the Eagles. They are on top of UConn 8-0 to get things going here at Gamble. Energy level was going to be a question here today. With the snow in the area, they're not expecting a big crowd. They've, in fact, given away free tickets to the students who are getting ready for finals. So they've filled up the student section here to try to bring a little noise, try to bring a little energy. But right now, Coppin's got all the energy in this building.
Very flat start for UConn. And you've got to give credit to Coppin. I mean, they're playing well. They're letting it hang out, playing free. And they're going to have to do it by committee today. Remember, UConn isn't the biggest team that they've had in years past, and Coppin isn't that big. A lot of guys that can play multiple positions, so the matchups look pretty good out there.
Kevin Ollie really trying to work with his bench right now to try to find someone who can answer this 2 o'clock wake-up call. Coppin not a very good rebounding team, but UConn has struggled on the glass as well, and the jump ball possession arrow will keep it on the Eagles' end of the floor. Josh Carlton, freshman out of North Carolina, into the game for the Huskies. We mentioned Whaley into the game, freshman from North Carolina as well, getting in. Whaley did not play against Syracuse. Carlton played 1 minute against the Orange. Here's Trey Thomas. Senior comes into the game for Karan Davis.
And Coppin State has had to play without DeJuan Clayton, who was on the MEAC all-rookie team last year, has been injured throughout the season. Another guy with a shoulder issue, but they've made it work with some other guys stepping up. They just haven't seen the wins, and these are all games that they'll see help them in the MEAC. Tough schedule Coppin State's played.
Back outside, open look, hit earlier, but this time it's off the mark for Fair, and a rebound for the Huskies. Pulled down by Carlton. 8-0 Coppin here in the opening minutes of play. Whaley tracks down the offensive rebound.
Coppin here in a zone.
UConn finally gets the hoop, and that ends the long wait for the UConn fans in the student section to do the makeshift confetti toss.
And this is something Carlton can do all day against this team. He's got size over everyone at 6'9". He is the biggest guy on the floor. A huge upside for him, a 3-star recruit coming in his freshman year. But he's young.
Chad Andrews Fulton comes into the game. Well, a lot of, you talked about the injury issues for UConn, and they're dealing with transfers and some young players. Here's one who just got UConn on the board, Carlton, the freshman. It feels like it's a chemistry experiment every game for Kevin Ollie and this UConn team.
And he said that, and going into this year, he even said it's going to take a little bit of patience by myself as well. I mean, this is something that is not easy for any coach, but every coach in the country is dealing with the transfer issue. 700 transfers a year in the college basketball game, which is a lot, more than there used to be.
Traore back to Fair, who got things going for Coppin, has to get it away as the shot clock expires, and Carlton has another rebound. Here's Jalen Adams, Terry Larrier. Adams, deep three. Barely caught rim. And the rebound for Morgan. Christian Vitale getting set to check back into the game for UConn. He was an early hook from Kevin Ollie. Tipped by Larrier into the backcourt. No reset on the shot clock. Traore down to 7 on the shot clock. Finding an open man. Morgan got it to beat the shot clock buzzer.
How about that patience by Coppin State? Just very patient at the last minute, getting a little slice and dice in the kick out. Coppin State looking really good right now.
11-3 Eagles. Anderson guarded by the freshman Fair. Carlton spins and scores.
And he can do that all day, and they ought to overload that side and get the ball in the paint because he's got the advantage.
Morgan's already made a couple of threes. Whaley the rebound for the Huskies to Larrier. Coppin back quickly defensively, clogging the lane, making it tough for Jalen Adams. You know he loves to drive to the basket. Anderson's pass to Larrier tracked down. Whaley. Anderson. Jumper on the way. It's good. 4-3.
Good patience and ball reversal leading to a shot.
Timeout called by Coppin State. We'll take it as well. 14:60 to go in the first. 3-point lead for the 0-9 Eagles. Back inside Gamble Pavilion for the 7th meeting all time between UConn and Coppin State. UConn has won the previous 6 meetings by an average of 25 points. Eric Freed, Julian Biani back with you here at Gamble. You look at the scoreboard here in the early going. It's a 3-point lead for Coppin, and this is nothing new for UConn. As you take a look at their last 6 games, they've been in fights against smaller conference schools throughout this season.
Right, they went into overtime against Columbia and Monmouth, something you wouldn't expect when looking at the schedule, but they have struggled a bit this season in the early going. I mean, we talked to Coach Ali before the game. He doesn't like the 6-3 record right now, but this is a team that had a lot of transfers and a lot of guys leave in general to graduation, so they're still trying to click and get better in a variety of ways. They got that Oregon win, which was a nice win for them, but everything else, they haven't played their best basketball yet. He's looking for guys to really step up this season, guys that haven't been here.
Out of the first timeout. Timeout was actually called by Coppin. We took it as immediate timeout as well. Some pressure in the backcourt. Coppin doesn't handle it very well. That's the first turnover for the Eagles. The Huskies were down 11-3. They've scored 5 straight points to make it a 3-point game here in the opening moments at Gamble.
And the defensive side of the coin is what Kevin Ollie wants to see improvement in with this group. That leads to offense and energy on the other end.
Adams to Larrier. Larrier ties the game.
Good ball movement and patience. Something they've been working on is the passing game, less one-on-one action, and me basketball.
UConn, not a very good 3-point shooting team so far this season at 31%, but Larrier has been a bright spot, leading the team at 42%. And now a foul called on Coppin, and UConn will go the other way.
Larrier is a real versatile player. I mean, he's somebody that's got to get shots off. And this is all off of Jalen Adams and that playmaking ability. If you can draw 2 people and then kick it, a guy like Larrier is going to knock it down.
Larrier coming off the bench today. He was the only UConn player to start every game this season. So yet another lineup combination for Kevin Ollie. That's 8 different lineups in 10 games.
And eventually, Kevin Ollie's going to have to shore that up to about an 8-man rotation. I mean, it's going to happen pretty soon, and he's trying to figure out the combinations.
Corner 3 is good from Trey Thomas. 9th 3 that Thomas has made, senior out of Largo, Maryland. 2nd year with Coppin State after a couple of years with Baltimore City Community College.
Love the assertiveness of Coppin right now.
Larrier, double team came and he turned the ball over. Trouble with turnovers for UConn. That's 5 turnovers already for the Huskies, a team averaging 13 a game. They had 17 against Syracuse, 13 in that decisive first half, which led to 15 Syracuse points.
Yeah, and Jalen Adams used the words reckless to describe the ball handling in the first half against Syracuse. I watched that game, and the game was actually not a blowout as far as the score, but no one watching that game thought that UConn could win that game. Syracuse was just too long, too athletic, and there were too many mistakes by UConn.
That 3 is off the mark, and a rebound for UConn. David Honora into the game for the Huskies. A little bit more size for UConn. Dropping it into Whaley, knocked out of his hands and into the backcourt. And they're going to say it's a backcourt violation on UConn. 12 minutes exactly to go here in the first half. Coppin hanging in there here in Stores. 3-point game. It's a scheduling reality for Coppin State. They play a lot of guarantee games. It helps make the budget in the athletic department. Here's another guarantee game. They're paid here to come to UConn. And if you can compete and maybe pull off an upset, that's a double bonus. 4 for 8 so far from outside the three-point line.
I mean, this team is a team that lives and dies by the three. They almost 50% of their shots this season have come from behind the arc. It's an undersized Coppin State team right now playing with a lot of confidence, nailing it from all over the floor. That time was Lamar Morgan. They've got guys spotting up everywhere, and Trey Thomas nails one, but this is a team that's continuing to space the floor out. They're trying to figure out their identity. Normally a second half team coming out strong here in the first half.
And we've talked about it's so hard to figure out that identity when your schedule in non-conference is at Oregon, at Cincinnati, at Rutgers, at Georgetown, at West Virginia, at Georgia Tech, at Penn State, at UConn, all before New Year's Day.
A beast schedule, and how do you gain confidence when you schedule that type of play? But Juan Dixon feels like if we can play these teams and compete well with them, we'll be ready once MEAC's season starts in conference play.
UConn in the zone, and Fair can't knock down the three over that zone. Vital has it for the Huskies. 3-point lead for the Eagles.
And already 6 turnovers by the Huskies.
Whaley. Larrier. Knocked out of his hands, and they're going to call a foul on Coppin. That'll be the 4th team foul on the Eagles. Well, those fans who have been watching UConn throughout the non-conference schedule, they know this is nothing new where they're in a battle falling behind in the first half. They've trailed at halftime in their last 5 games. So this has kind of been their MO for Kevin Ollie, that doesn't matter who the opponent is, it's going to be tight, it's going to be close, they're going to have to fight.
Coming out of the gate, it's important to set the tone, and they have struggled with doing that in first halves, and then you've got to crawl out of holes in the second half. It does make it a lot more difficult on yourselves.
Larrier on the turnaround. Lost out of bounds by Coppin. That was Honora for UConn. Getting in the middle of things. The Huskies ball. Christian Vital averaging nearly 13 points a game. It's Larrier who's averaging almost 16 points a game, 2nd on the team in scoring. We're tied at 14.
The transfer last year from VCU, a real promising player.
Counting the 3. About everyone in blue and white in this building. 3 seconds was the call.
A much better defensive possession, though, for the Huskies. Rotating, double teaming, making that a difficult possession.
Antoine Anderson brings it up for the Huskies. 6-3 on the season.
Both teams playing a lot of half-court basketball, not a lot of transition so far. Cobb. I don't know if that was for Vital or Larrier. It split the difference, and another turnover for the Huskies. Yeah, that's already 7. Yeah, just miscommunication between each other. Kind of that lack of chemistry. And I know earlier in the season, this crew, Kevin Ollie's crew, did a lot of team-building exercises, paintball, dinners, you name it, trying to gain the chemistry and camaraderie with one another.
Cutting to the basket, unable to finish. Rebound for the Huskies. Troyor on the drive. Vital can't get it. Honora on the offensive glass. Trying to fight right back up with it, and he does.
That's something Honora can do. He's a very, very solid body and rebounder in there. He's not going to score a lot of points, but he's going to do the little things. Came over from Cornell, got injured last season. But he makes his presence felt on the defensive end, especially.
It took to the midpoint of the first half for UConn to get its first lead. That lead doesn't last very long. We're back up even at 16. Adams. Adams 0 for 3 from the field so far. Thrown back out. Another turnover for Connecticut. 2-on-1 the other way. Fair is fouled.
These turnovers are allowing Coppin State to get up the floor, create their offense on the other end and getting easy buckets that otherwise they shouldn't be getting. So here again, Cobb with the turnover and just not knowing where he is on the floor after the rebound. He's got to either go up with that strong or be able to find someone and kick it out immediately.
Here is Keandre Fair, homecoming game for him. This is the second game that Coppin has played in the Nutmeg State. They played at Central Connecticut last month, lost in overtime. Fair played 34 minutes in that game at 11 points, coming off a very strong game against Navy where he was 3 of 7 from outside the three-point line in 25 minutes. He played in 4 state title games as a high school player for Weaver High School. 1 win, a couple of overtime losses.
Amazing. And even talking to Juan Dixon about him, he's a winner, he said. He comes from that winning program, a guy who isn't afraid of the moment. He'll take the shot, he'll defend all around, has a lot of guts. That's the kind of guy you want on your team.
Played a prep year at Putnam Science Academy last year after his days at Weaver. Anderson can't hit. Whaley got a finger on it. Anderson has it back and tips it back out to Vital for 2. First points for Vital. 2 of the top scorers, Vital and Adams, having trouble getting going here against Coppin so far.
Vital hasn't even really gotten any shots off. He has got to get touches and get some opportunities.
Blake Simpson, senior from Cincinnati, into the game for the Eagles, number 15. Davis. Stolen by Adams. Adams up ahead to Vital. Vital for 2.
And that's what Kevin Ollie's talking about as far as the defense and the offense. You have got to be able to do more of that against Coppin, to be able to get opportunities in transition. Your running game will only come if you can anticipate and steal the basketball and get going.
Deep 3 on the way, and good. How about that from Lamar Morgan?
83% of his shots are threes. So if you're scouting him and you're covering him, you got to know that in the back of your head and not allow him to catch it.
Answered right back. Adams gets on the board with a 3. Seven and a half to play, first half. UConn by 3. Fair. Vital with the rebound. Adams, a little hesitation move, and he draws the foul. After falling behind by 8 in the early going, UConn has battled back, but Coppin going deep for 3 with Morgan. His 3rd three-pointer of the first half, countered by Adams, and the Huskies on top by 3 first half. UConn on top of Coppin State in the first half. Coppin out of Baltimore, picked 12th in the MEAC preseason poll. As Julian mentioned, 9 new players for their new head coach, Juan Dixon, Maryland class of 02, all-time leading scorer for the Terrapins. Baltimore native, was women's coach at UDC. This team won 8 games last year, 3 straight losing seasons. So, you know, the buzzword you always hear, culture, trying to change that culture, and it's going to be
first year, you know, it's going to take some time.
It's going to be a process. That's another word, process and culture. Those are the ones we hear all the time.
For both these groups, I mean, talking to him last night, Juan Dixon was like, I'm on my way recruiting right now as we speak, heading to Connecticut. So not the quickest trip from Baltimore to here, but always working.
Well, when you're trying to build things from the ground up, you're recruiting never stops. And for Juan Dixon, we mentioned that he went for 27 against UConn in that memorable run to the NCAA tournament. Maryland knocked off UConn 90-82 to get to the Final Four. That game played at the Carrier Dome. He was the most outstanding player of that tournament. And
also that 9-year NBA veteran. So a couple of really great coaches we've got here between the two teams.
Whaley scores for UConn. 10 points total this season. This is his 8th game played, and all of his previous points were in the opener against Colgate, so he hasn't played a lot, but he's playing here today.
So UConn here picking up the pressure, full court. I like that move by Coach Ollie. See if Coppin State can handle that kind of pressure.
Forcing a turnover.
And then Whaley here with the putback, and that's the hustle, the extra possessions that you need. And Whaley was also a 3-star recruit coming in.
Well, he prepped at Mount Zion in Baltimore last year, so another Baltimore connection here on the floor. That was the 5th turnover for the Eagles. UConn with the basketball and the lead. Whaley taking it to the basket for 2 more.
That's the way Adams has to play make. He's doing a nice job getting into the teeth of the defense. And I talked to Kevin Ollie about that before the game, about what he's expecting from Jalen Adams. And it's that sort of thing. Last year, he led the conference in assists. His assists have been down a little bit, but last game 7, and then this game he's looking to pass as well.
3-on-1. Anderson not looking to pass. He's looking to finish. Counting the foul.
And I like Antoine Anderson's game. He brings a toughness and an option for this team to go small. They can go 3 or even 4 guards with him out there. Nice job in transition. All started out on the defensive end.
UConn on a run, on top by 9. Timeout Coppin, back in 30 seconds. 17-point turnaround for the Huskies here at Gamble. They were down by 8. They lead by 9 thanks to this 9-0 run here in the first half.
And that's key for UConn to get out and do it on the defensive end and get running. And I think that's been the key, is to get running. A lot of half-court play early. Took them a little bit to wake up with the 2 o'clock tip. I do think, too, that changes your routine with everything. Usually, and even me as a player, I hated the early tips to get used to a routine when you get to 7 p.m. games.
Student. Not just a player, a college student. Another turnover as UConn dialing up the D, turning it into offense.
Yeah, that's what they've got to do, and that's a nice job by Anderson, just anticipating, using those long arms in the passing lanes.
Anderson with a team-high 8 points.
Coppin can't get over their length, and that's what UConn's utilizing here.
Anderson picks up his 2nd personal foul.
And UConn picking up the pressure full court, and it's leading to buckets at the other end. And the easiest way to get your offense going is to start on the other end. So a nice job with the energy. Coppin has to be able to move the ball with the pass rather than trying too much to dribble, because the pass will move quicker than the dribble.
Coppin ball on the side. They're down by 12. 5:32 to go in the first half. Finally got things sorted out here. Davis. Nowhere to go for Traore. Batted around into the hands of Morgan.
And now you really see that in-your-face tight D here.
3 on the shot clock. Traore gets rid of it, and he was fouled launching the 3-pointer, and he'll shoot 3.
That's one thing you don't want to do. You spend almost the entire shot clock working hard defensively, and you're a little late on the closeout here, and you get the foul called. So all that hard work feels like it didn't pay off.
Fouls on Whaley, his first personal. Adam Traore, the junior from New York City. I think there's a little confusion as to who that foul was on. Whaley had that look when they announced it in the building, like, who, me? How did I get that foul? So I think the officials just want to make sure they got the number right. They're going to go to the monitor just to see. They could be looking to see as well if it was a 3-point shot, but I think it's more to see who the foul's on.
He was responsible for the Connecticut foul.
Yeah, 2 guys ran out at him, so there's a good chance they might have just confused the numbers.
That is the call. Officials letting us know. Fouls on 25, not 5. Yeah, you can see Whaley. He
yeah, that's the right call, Carlton. Yeah. He fell into him.
So the foul instead is on Carlton. That's his first personal.
Got to close out a little more under control, especially against a team like Coppin State. They are gonna shoot the three. That is what they do.
I think it was just a conversation with the officials too, because one of the officials came over and said we're pretty sure it's 25. It was announced 5, and they got it squared away. Troyer stops the UConn run. Outstanding free throw shooter at 85%.
Actually, Coppin is 9th in the nation in free throw shooting. Almost 80%, 79%, so they can shoot.
Adams knew he missed it, followed his miss for 2.
Nice play by Adams. Vintage, just follow up. Follow your shot, follow the shot. You're gonna get easy baskets that way.
Foul call. This one will be on Whaley. I don't think he's going to duck this one. Morgan will go to the free throw line.
Here, Jalen Adams following his own shot. That's textbook fundamentals, and a nice job by Adams. And Coach Ollie demanding a lot from him this season. Well, he'll need to do even more this year, but he's their undisputed leader.
Lamar Morgan, another one contributing to that excellent free throw percentage as a team for Coppin. He's 7 for 7 from the free throw line this season after that first make.
And he's a guy who can really shoot it. He struggled a bit to start the season, but Juan Dixon told us that he has the utmost confidence in his ability to hit shots as the season progresses.
Now, Coppin's had to change things on the fly a little bit with DeJuan Clayton out with an injury. Taquan Drummond, freshman out of Virginia, out with an injury today as well. Clayton, their top player. He's missed 4 straight games now. 9-point game approaching 4 to go in the first half. UConn fell behind 8-0. They were down 11-3 before they started to chip away, and they've been on a run here thanks to defense like this. A trap, and then a timeout called by Coppin right before the 5 count. We'll take the timeout as well. UConn better defensively, more intensity, and that's helped fuel this run to put them on top by 11. After falling behind in the early going, UConn now up by 9 in the first half. They've done it with defense, turning over Coppin 7 times, scoring 12 points off those 7 turnovers.
Kevin Ollie's been quoted saying this often, and he said our guys have got to get down and guard. That's what he said. They've got to move their feet, be in position more. And when you think about a game like Columbia, for instance, they played them, and Columbia shot 50% in the first half against them. And then UConn, you said it earlier, had to come back from a 15-point deficit. They can defend. It's just a matter of putting it together consistently for an entire game.
Last 2 home games, they've gone to overtime against Columbia, against Monmouth. That's well off the mark with the shot clock winding down, and UConn has it. 3:40 to go in the first half. Larrier. Offensive rebound for UConn. Second chance here thanks to Onura. Adams. That 3 won't go down. Larrier took a nasty spill. He's still down on the deck, and they're going to stop play with UConn getting possession. He hit the floor hard.
Doesn't look good.
They're just giving him a moment to get up on his feet. Looks like Antoine Anderson will come into the game. Larrier wants to stay. Looks like he's going to be okay. Larrier will go to the bench, though, as Anderson comes in.
They certainly can't afford another player, especially like Larrier, to be hurt. And right here, we take a look off the offensive rebound here.
Oh, he just slipped.
Yeah, he just took a spill in the middle of the lane there. Right now, UConn really out-rebounding Coppin, getting a lot of second chances.
UConn a plus 16 in rebounding margin so far. Adams works with the screen. Can't get the runner, though. Another rebound for UConn. Whaley's played well here. Came into the game in the very early going for Kevin Ollie, and he's been rewarded with more minutes here in that first half.
And you know he's going to play you if you're going to perform, and a nice job coming in and playing hard. And these are opportunities for Whaley to get chances, second chances. That's where the advantage is for the Huskies. So they've got to take advantage of it, which they are.
Makes the front end of the one-on-one, excuse me, Julian. And Whaley had played a grand total of 2 minutes in the 3 games leading up to the game here today. He's played 13 first half minutes.
It's a chance to show your coach what you got, you know, prove that you want to get more playing time throughout the season.
Whaley with 5 points. No one in double figures for UConn as of yet. They're up by 10 inside of 3 to play, first half. Davis finds the open man. It's the shooter Morgan who knocks down his 4th three-pointer of the first half. He's in double figures, 14 points for junior Lamar Morgan.
How about the skip pass? I mean, that is always going to get you, almost always going to get you an open 3.
That's an illegal screen called on Onura for UConn.
But Coppin State with a nice job here. Morgan, or this is a good job by Davis off the pick and roll. Great court vision with the skip. I mean, every time you ball reverse, you're most likely going to get something.
Larry are back into the game after heading to the bench for just a moment for the Huskies. Anderson back to the bench, and that foul is whistled on Coppin. Offensive foul on Davis.
And Christian Vitale here, nice job getting himself in position to force that charge. That's the kind of grittiness that you want. He's a New York City kid who will give you that hustle, loves to compete.
That's the 3rd foul on Davis. Drop back for Whaley. Entry to Onura. Jump hook won't go, and the rebound for Traore. Traore traveled. 9th turnover for Coppin State.
And suddenly you see the swing is shifted towards the Huskies, and it's all because of that. It's because it started on the defensive end. They're forcing Coppin to play a little bit faster than they want to, take shots faster, have to dribble a little quicker. It's going to cause some turnovers.
Adams. That won't stay down. Adams struggling from the field now. 2 of 9 shooting in the first half for the Huskies. 1:45 to go before halftime. Morgan waited a moment. He is on target for the Eagles. 17 points for Lamar Morgan. Came in averaging 5 points a game. For a team that struggled to score this season, averaging just 52 points a game, they put 31 on so far.
But I mentioned earlier that 84% of his shots are threes.
You know what's coming.
You know it's coming. So as a scout, you've got to know I have to be there on the catch against him. So if you're covering him or you're rotating on him, you got to make sure you know this guy's a shooter, and that should not be so easy for him to get these shots off. It's a simple ball reversal that time. Jalen Adams is there, but you give him a tiny little window, he's going to jack it up.
UConn was up by 12. It's down to a 4-point lead right now for the Huskies. Closing in on a minute to play. Fair had a great look to try to cut into that deficit a little bit more. Adams the rebound.
UConn giving Coppin State too many things of what they want. Coppin wants to shoot from out there, and they're getting a 3-point shot every time down the floor.
Coppin attempted 28 threes in their loss to Navy this week.
You know what, coming in, that's what they do. They're going to jack them up. They're not a big team, so they've had to really, as I said, live and die by it throughout the season.
Nura at the free throw line. That's his first free throw attempt this season. Played 5 minutes against Syracuse. Trey Thomas heads to the bench for Coppin as Lucien Brownlee comes in for the first time. 1 of 2 for the grad student. He has 3 points. 7 different scores for UConn. Back to a 5-point lead for the Huskies. Morgan, UConn extending the defense beyond that 3-point line, and it's thrown away by Larrier. Got caught up in the air, and then a traveling violation on Coppin. Sloppy sequence on both sides. It will be UConn basketball.
You see here just both teams turning it over. It hasn't been the cleanest game.
Has the snowfall outside really taking that edge off you? You're very kind, Julian.
Hasn't been the cleanest game.
Shot clock and game clock just about synced up. Adams wants to clear out. Instead, he'll give it up to Vital for 3. Tipped out. Honora a chance to get one off at the buzzer, and that will do it for the first half.
Well, I mean, this definitely was a little bit closer than I think a lot of us thought it would be. And Coppin State just doing a nice job hanging here with UConn. They started out really on a run and playing better. UConn, though, had their own run. So we got ourselves a ball game at the half.
Coming up at halftime, a wrap-up of the big upset in college basketball today. Boston College knocking off #1 Duke. That's coming up. 5-point game here in Storrs. It continues to snow outside Gampel Pavilion. They're expecting about 6 inches, up to 6 inches of snow this part of Connecticut. First snowfall of the year. It felt weird looking yesterday. Like, you name it. Texas A&M, Mississippi, every southern area was posting all their snowfall. And around here we had no snow until today, so we had to wait a little while.
It's coming this way.
Juan Dixon and his Coppin State Eagles, can they hang around in this game looking for their first win of the season? 0-9, they're down by 5. They led by 8 in the first half. UConn's largest lead was 12 in that back and forth first half. Individually, no one in double figures for UConn. Antoine Anderson leading the way with 8 points. Terry Larrier with 6. Jalen Adams 5 on 2 of 9 shooting. One of the big surprises for UConn, Isaiah Whaley, who played 16 minutes, had 5 points, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists. 4 of his 5 rebounds were offensive rebounds.
Showing something to coach. I love it. Getting a little playing time today and playing well with it.
Whaley starting the second half. Adams off the screen. Just does not have his shot here this afternoon.
These first couple minutes are pretty pivotal, I think, for Coppin to just continue to hang around here. They started out the game hot. Can they start the half out hot as well? Halfway down for Davis. Came back out. Vital into the front court. Adams, Vital, Onura, Whaley, and Anderson, the 5, starting the second half for UConn. Diarra and Cobb were in the original starting 5. They're on the bench to start the second half. 5 on the shot clock. Vital. Rebound for Coppin. Off the spin, tipped by Vital. Davis short, and another rebound for Whaley. Adams. That won't go. Whaley got a hand on it, but it's controlled by Coppin, and that is the definition of an unforced error. Yes. As teammate caused a teammate to travel. Nobody there even putting pressure on him, and Jalen Adams here trying to get himself going, has struggled from the field today, but right here, teammates just bumping each other by accident gives UConn an extra possession. Council and Traore. Larrier into the game for UConn. He replaces Onura.
Larrier, tough shot, somehow got it to go. 8 points for Larrier.
And Larrier is super athletic and has that basketball body, just very tall and lean. Kind of that stretch four kind of guy that you want.
In a perfect world, though, and Kevin Ollie was telling you before the game, if Cobb or someone like that could play the 4, move Larrier to the 3, that would be perfect for UConn in this current roster and how it's set up.
Absolutely. Then he could play a little bit more of a guard position. Instead, he's got to move him down to the 4.
Patel took a tumble, blocked shot for Coppin, but Whaley on the follow. He'll earn a trip to the free throw line.
UConn continuing to battle on the glass, and at will, they're just getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound.
Well, once again, Isaiah Whaley did not play against Syracuse, averaging just 6 minutes a game, had scored 8 points all season. Those 8 points scored in one game, the season opening win against Colgate. Whaley active on the glass and gave UConn a spark when they fell behind 8-0. Whaley was in the mix and he was at least fighting on the glass, trying to get some second chances. Long, obviously, when it came to UConn trying to dial up the defensive intensity, forcing some turnovers.
There's a lot of opportunity on this UConn team for players to step up and step in, and it's a pretty wide open season. New players, everybody trying to figure out the identity.
Morgan was fouled attempting a 3, and there's a freshman mistake by Whaley.
That's kind of what happens when Morgan nails so many threes. You're going to get a hard closeout by guys defensively rather than closing out under control. That can cause fouls, especially if you have a little shot fake like Morgan just kind of did.
Couple of free throws for Lamar Morgan. Coppin now 6, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. From Willingboro, New Jersey. He's got 19 points.
He's come to play, and everything has been from the perimeter, but that's what he does well. Only averages 5 a game. And they're just letting him have what he wants. And he's single-handedly keeping this team in the game.
His career best this season, it's his first year after transferring from junior college with Coppin. 8 against Cincinnati. He has 20 here this afternoon against the Huskies. Adams, that one goes down for Jalen Adams. 7 points, first of the second half.
What I like about Adams is he'll continue to play aggressive, even if he hasn't been shooting from the field great. He's going to continue to take it and look for his shot, and he's got to.
Trey Thomas. Traore. Blocked by Whaley. Followed up, though, by Council.
Good job by Council being there.
Adams looking for the whistle, and he got it. He'll get a trip to the free throw line and shoot a couple. Like he was on his way down, and he was fouled by Traore.
Adams here off the bounce. He's been definitely more aggressive to the rim this half, looking to get there. Very quick off the bounce, and what's cool with Adams is he gets the chance to learn from a guy like Kevin Ollie, an NBA point guard, to coach him, to get him better. So I think that him playing for Ollie is a great fit. He's only going to continue to improve.
Well, we know he's not going to leave the floor.
He won't leave the floor, and he's got the utmost confidence in Adams. It's his time to shine, and he's going to have to really take the reins on even more so because Gilbert's been out. He doesn't have that other guy to kind of take some of the ball dominance from him, so it's going to be a little more difficult. They can't move him to the 2, so now he's got to be a scoring 1.
Adams playing the full 40 against Syracuse, scored 22 points at Madison Square Garden. He's gone for 40 minutes or more in each of the last 3 games. Traveling violation called on Coppin. That's turnover number 13 on the Eagles.
And it's because of that high pressure. UConn is coming way out on Coppin, which is what you've got to do against a team that wants to shoot from the 3. We got to get on them and make them put it on the deck, make them beat you where they don't want to beat you. That's off the bounce and expect to get some help.
Adams, another take to the hoop and a finish by Adams. Into double figures now with 11. First UConn player to reach double figures, and the Huskies back on top by 10. UConn napping on the defensive end, and Council makes them pay.
Well, if you're going to pick up full court, you better get your butts back and be able to rotate, or that's an easy 2 points. I love Kevin Ollie on the sideline. Look at him. He's always so enthusiastic and so into it.
Well, the jacket's gone.
A true coach, though.
That's usually a sign that he hasn't been thrilled. Larrier for 3. He's in the double figures now with 11. Ball is kicked by UConn. That will get us to a timeout. 15:32 to go in the second half. Coppin State has relied on the 3-pointer here today to hang around. Terry Larrier trying to help the Huskies pull away with the 3. A lot of snow in the eastern half of the United States. Perfect day to stay inside for a big day on ESPN. 4 o'clock Eastern, MLS Cup, Toronto and Seattle in a championship rematch. Then at 8, it's the Heisman Trophy presentation. Kind of like Baker Mayfield's chances. And at 9, top-ranked boxing, the WBO Junior Lightweight title fight. Everything on ESPN and the ESPN app. I saw this morning that Baker Mayfield's odds of winning the Heisman Trophy were 1-20. Those are pretty good odds.
I would say so. Say it's kind of a shoo-in. And UConn here in a zone, an extended 3-2 zone. You better make sure they get out to Morgan.
They did not get the shot off in time. It's a shot clock violation. So UConn with the defense out of the timeout, forcing a turnover. 14th turnover for Juan Dixon's team.
And just a change in the look off the break there by Kevin Ollie.
UConn a +3 in turnover margin, a +15 in rebounding margin. And this will be a turnover on the Huskies. They're 12th.
They're also killing Coppin in the paint, 20-8 points in the paint. 17-2 second chance opportunities. Coppin just not able to battle physically down low.
Tyler Polley was on the floor for just a moment. He comes out of the game, replaced by Anderson. Before the shot, foul on Whaley for UConn.
He just wasn't there on time. I mean, you got to see the pick and roll and make sure you're rotating properly with the help. And I think Whaley's coming out of the game here for that hiccup.
Yeah, that's his 3rd personal foul, Julianne. So he checks out. Mamadou Diarra comes in.
And you also see Kevin Ollie here coaching him, and you saw his frustration when Whaley wasn't there on time. These are all good coaching moments for him. Remember, he's a guy that's known for his ability to mentor players. I mean, when he was in the NBA doing things in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder brought him in to mentor Kevin Durant when Durant was a young guy, and Durant was quoted saying that he changed the culture there, the entire culture. That's pretty amazing for a guy who only made, basically he was signing 1-year contracts every year, Kevin Ollie. Such a hard worker.
The towel can't hit. 1 and done for the Huskies. Rebound for Traore. Well, just when it looks like UConn's ready to put a little bit more distance between themselves and Coppin, the Eagles come up with a stop, force a turnover, and here they have a chance to get it back to single digits.
They've let them hang around.
Davis, the entry pass, and there's 2 more for Coppin.
Davis has nice court vision. He's finding guys out of that on-the-ball screening. I mean, the pick-and-roll game is good because he can create off of it, and the rotation is just late on that help side for UConn.
First points for Chad Andrews Fulton. Larrier, open three is good. Penetration by Adams, the kick to the open Larrier. He has 14.
I think when Larrier can play outside like that, and like you said, almost like the 3 position, he just looks like it's more comfortable.
Morgan, open three. Anderson, the rebound. Diarra took a tumble. Here's Adams. Coppin scrambles back defensively, and UConn will set things up, approaching 13 minutes to go here in the second half. Adams. UConn was dominating on the offensive glass in the first half. A few one-and-dones here for the Huskies. And on the offensive glass, a rebound for Coppin State and a foul called on Diarra. Andrews Fulton getting the board.
And Diarra getting a little bit more and more time. He's continuing to show promise for this team. The guy from Senegal.
Well, Adams will get a rest here. 12:47 to go, so approaching that 12-minute media timeout. Polley back into the game, joined by Josh Carlton. Carlton at 5 first-half points. Morgan to trigger the inbound on the side.
When you think about the Huskies and their schedule coming up too, Eric, they've got Arizona coming up, Auburn, and then they're playing Wichita State here.
Yeah, how about that for an American opener against Wichita State?
Things are not going to get easier. Their schedule's been pretty tough as well, but it's only going to get them ready for conference play. And Wichita State's addition to the American Conference is just key.
Deep three.
Another one.
Morgan with 23 points.
He's
Morgan
taking
had
deep ones too.
Well, he had scored 42 points combined in the first 8 games this season. He's got 23 here in Storms.
Well, and to give UConn some cushion here and leeway, that's why you don't cover him the way that you go into this game and you think, all right, this guy hasn't done that much, so you lay off him somewhat, but he has just turned it on today. And a little dribble handoff action. You get stuck behind that screen, and that's what happened there. If you're covering a shooter and Vital gets stuck behind the screen, he's going to nail that. You got to fight over top every time.
Morgan earning a trip to the free throw line, 5 for 5 from the line so far today. Juliet mentioned before, outstanding free throw shooting team. They are 0-9. They've played a brutal schedule, but one bright spot has been getting it done at the free throw line, and that's helped here today. It's now an 8-point game with another one coming from Morgan. Now Jalen Adams coming back into the game for the Huskies. So by the clock, he was on the bench for 44 seconds.
He got a little breather. That's all he needed. He's young. He can play 40 minutes.
25 for Morgan. 6 of 8 from the field. All 8 field goal attempts from outside the 3-point line.
Oh, really? Kevin Ollie can't afford to take Adams out of the game.
Adams kicks it over. Polley got it for 3.
Again, a nice job with the penetration and pitch. If he's got guys that can shoot and nail him around him, it'll make his teammates better.
First points for Polley. He hit a big 3-pointer that started to turn the tide against Stony Brook earlier this season. They were down by 9, went on to win it. Polley getting a 3 here to make it a 10-point game. 'Tis the season. Holiday Hoops are back. We have a great matchup next Sunday afternoon on ESPN. The 11th ranked Tar Heels will be in Knoxville to take on Tennessee, currently ranked 24th, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. That's next Sunday. As of right now, Tar Heels with 1 loss in the season. That was Michigan State. No shame there. And the Vols with 1 loss. That was to Villanova. No shame there. So we'll see what happens next Sunday when Tennessee hosts UNC at Thompson Bowling Arena.
Michigan State certainly could win it all this season. A lot of people think they're better than Duke. Duke just getting their first loss today to BC. They're just a big team.
Eagles knocking off the #1 Blue Devils at Connie Forum at Chestnut Hill earlier this afternoon. Accelerating to the basket, but unable to finish is Trey Thomas. Anderson. Larrier back to Adams. 11 minutes to go. Second half. And Adams is fouled. Get a third-team foul on the Eagles.
And Adams playing with a lot more aggression, in my opinion, in this half. Kevin Ollie told us too before the game that he tells Adams, listen, I just need you to run the show for these guys. I'm going to run plays for you. Because I asked him about the pressure that he might feel to have a really good season again, to take all the burden, because he doesn't have that second guard that he would have had with Gilbert, but basically just wants him to go out and play. Have fun. I'm going to run plays for you.
Larrier off the miss. Polly on the offensive glass. That is just the second offensive rebound this half for UConn. They had 13 in the first half.
And you've got to give credit to Coppin for doing a better job on the glass this half offensively, because that's how they lived in the first half. It was lots of those opportunities for UConn.
Polly, the freshman from Florida, started 6 games, but played a total of 11 minutes the last 2 games, including 7 against Syracuse. Couple of free throws for Polly. He has 5 points in 5 minutes. UConn bringing the pressure, 3/4 court. Now dropping back off in the man. 10.5 to play. Rebound for Adams.
Where you see
the Fulton miss.
And that's where you see Lamar Morgan's not in the game, and they're able to play a little tighter.
Beautiful finish on the break for Coppin, and the foul. They got the turnover, they were on the run, and a chance for a 3-point play.
And the times that Coppin's been able to do this, they've been able to execute at the other end. A nice job here, and Adams just with the hiccup, and this is an area where he needs to improve on his ball handling skills, and this is what happens when you turn the ball over at the top of the key like that. An easy basket for your opponent at the other end.
Fair to Davis. That's a little role reversal, because Davis has 7 assists here this afternoon. Those were his first points.
Well, what I like about him is he's a graduate transfer, so he's a veteran. He played at Niagara his first couple seasons and started, and now they've got a guy with that kind of experience leading the pack at the point.
Davis at the point in the absence of DeJuan Clayton. As I mentioned, 7 assists to go along with 3 points. 9 on the shot clock for the Huskies. Larrier nowhere to go. Polly in trouble. Improvises, can't get it to go. Offensive rebound and a foul called on Coppin. Carlton got the rebound, and he was fouled.
I don't think he's too happy about that call, because Cobb was not in position, but Cobb's so much bigger, he can just reach over him.
Before the shot, so Anderson,
Or, excuse me, Carlton.
will trigger the inbound. Davis extending the defense on Adams. Anderson can't hit, and a foul called on Coppin.
Second personal, 16.
Anderson basketball on the baseline, 9:20 to go in the second half in a 9-point game. Average margin of defeat for Coppin, 25 points. So they've been hanging tough with the Huskies right from the very start. Scored the game's first 8 points. UConn came back to take a 12-point lead before halftime. It was a 5-point Husky lead at the half. Adams, another turnover, but gets it back, didn't give it away all the way. Somehow tiptoed into the paint to get the 2.
That's the way to stay with it. I mean, he nearly had it stripped, but he didn't give up. And he got the opportunity out of it. But Coppin giving him fits. They're all over him.
13 points now for Jalen Adams. Morgan, open 3. A rare miss for Lamar Morgan, and a foul called on UConn.
What Coppin State does well is they've reversed the basketball. They make the extra pass, and you take a look at this last possession, and Jalen Adams almost loses it, and he stays with it and creates an opportunity for himself off of it.
Larrier's first personal foul, take to the basket for 2 by Lamar Morgan. 27 now for Lamar Morgan.
Now he's taking off the bounce. That's when you know you're having a game, because he's usually just parking behind the arc.
Having a game and a half.
And Morgan here, see, this is what happens when people come out to cover you, and you can extend your game to be able to take it to the basket. That's going to open up a lot of, well, avenues for him, because people are going to want to cover him for that 3 ball. So take it off the bounce. You're going to get some easy opportunities taking it to the lane.
That was his first attempt inside the 3-point line. Now 6 of 9 outside the 3-point line, 7 of 10 overall, 27 points for junior Lamar Morgan. Again, came in averaging 5 points a game and his career best 8 at Cincinnati. Point lead for the Huskies. 8:15 to go. Thomas. The finish by Andrews Fulton.
And again, that time Carleton needed to be dropped down a little bit more, allowing that easy layup. It's happened quite a bit. You can't have your eye on the ball the whole time. When you're defensively trying to play that team D, you've got to have your head on a swivel.
Knocked away, turnover by UConn. Numbers the other way for Coppin. Davis, fair for 3. Adams, a long bounce to Vital, who was fouled on his way to the hoop. That will get us to a timeout. 7:27 to go, second half. UConn on top by 9.
Tonight, Bucci and John Anderson host Sports Center at midnight on ESPN. That's after the big fight. They'll have Teddy Atlas's ringside reaction after one of the fights of the year. Now, Teddy is must-see after a fight, so do not miss that. Plus, Mel Kiper Jr., Tom McShay on the risks of drafting Baker Mayfield, and LeBron and the Cavs looking to bounce back against the Sixers. Cleveland's 13-game winning streak coming to an end. 106-102 yesterday in Indy. Sports Center with the Johns on ESPN and the ESPN app. Also, little Giancarlo Stanton talk as well coming up tonight. UConn on top by 9. Coppin State not letting UConn out of their sight here, Juliet.
Coppin State's been able to really hang with them the whole game from start to even now. UConn has had opportunities to put them away, but just hasn't been able to. But they've kept the lead through their defense and their rebound, really. That's what it's been about for UConn. Bigger, a little bit bigger and stronger.
Kevin Ollie had that shake of the head going back to the bench. Kind of that look of, it's always going to be a struggle.
It's always going to be tight. It's always going to be a struggle. You're right. Especially with a tough American conference. I mean, this conference this season with Cincinnati, with Wichita State, SMU, you've got UCF coming up strong, and Temple. I did them just a couple days ago. Temple is going to be a really tough matchup for teams this year too. Very quick and going to be a tough year in general.
Both teams outstanding from the free throw line in this game. UConn now 14 of 16 from the line after a couple of free throws made by Vital.
You can't forget Houston.
7-point game. Davis, 4-3. Ron Davis with 6 points to go along with those 7 assists.
Continuing to move the basketball. This game is getting tighter and tighter. Lots of time left.
Whaley to Adams. Adams for 3. Rebound by Davis. Davis trying to find his offense a little bit more, and a foul is called on Andrews Fulton for Coppin State. Be a 1-1 for UConn. Carlton will walk down to step to the free throw line. Josh Carlton with 5 points coming in the first half. He does have 7 rebounds. 1 for 1 from the free throw line today. 8 of 11 for the season. After missing the front end of the 101, here come the Eagles. 8-point game. Traore gets it back. Traore behind the back pass. Beautiful feed and a trip to the free throw line coming for Andrews Fulton.
All right, Traore, I see you. Getting fancy. Actually, it worked in this situation. And Traore with a little shot fake behind the back, and that was pretty. Let's not forget, this is entertainment, right?
That was entertaining. Andrews Fulton, the junior out of Philadelphia, 7 of 10 from the free throw line this year. He has 5 all in the second half. Here comes Antoine Anderson back into the game as Larrier thought he was going out. Anderson put the brakes on Larrier, and it's going to be Carlton going to the free throw line. Going to the bench, I beg your pardon, with 2 personal fouls. 1 of 2 for Andrews Fulton. Whaley there for the rebound. 8 rebounds now for Isaiah Whaley. He has been a plus for UConn here this afternoon.
And he's done the little things, you know. He doesn't have to always be scoring when he's in. He has put up a few buckets today, but it's really about the other things that you can do on the floor too. There's so many things you can do to impact the game, something Kevin Ollie stresses with his group. So do what you can while you're in to impact the game.
That was the 10th team foul on Coppin State, so a couple of free throws for Whaley. Eight points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists for the freshman from Gastonia, North Carolina. Under 6 to play, 8-point game. Traore for 3. Rebounded by Vital, and he wants to run. And now he'll throw on the brakes, and UConn will slow things down. Adams. Back outside, Larrier. Davis to the basket. Too strong and knocked into the hands of Jalen Adams. Vital was wide open under the basket, but Larrier held on to it.
He got a little nervous to throw it, but he was wide open.
Vital has it now. Strong take to the basket.
That backside wide open, and the last few possessions before that, UConn settling for perimeter shots, and they've actually gotten their bread and butter in the paint. So they've got to continue to do that.
This has been dangerous. Morgan for 3 one more time. Lamar Morgan with 30 points.
He's in a zone. I mean, he's in another realm. And like I said, I mean, you let him hit a couple, okay, but 6 or 7 threes.
Whaley well off the mark. Adams tried to save it, stepped on the baseline as he made contact. It'll be Coppin State basketball. So a 3 on one end, a missed jumper by Whaley on the other. It's Coppin State basketball in a 7-point game.
Chance here to cut this down to a 5-point game, or even less if you make a 3 here.
Lamar Morgan, 7 of 10 from outside the three-point line, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 30 points for Morgan, who's setting up in the left corner here, but on the spin, Morgan gets it. Can't hit this time.
That was nice defense that time by Larrier.
Four minutes to play here at Gamble Pavilion. 66-59 UConn.
And you think about playing a team like Coppin State, they're hungry for a win. 0-9 coming into this game. They're gonna give their gut.
Adams, tough shot, wouldn't drop, and a foul called on Onura for UConn. 3:45 to go here in the second half. Still Titan Stores. Reminder, the big trifecta to come on ESPN, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Looks like it's going to be 34 degrees at first kick in Toronto as Seattle and Toronto FC meet for the MLS Championship for the second straight year. 8 o'clock, it's the Heisman Trophy presentation. And then at 9, top-ranked boxing, Lomachenko, Rigando. Everything is on ESPN and the ESPN app. 7-point lead for UConn, 3:45 to go. Big performances by Lamar Morgan and Karan Davis, keeping Coppin State in this game and making Kevin Ollie sweat.
Kevin Ollie and company sweat. I mean, they're playing real hard, and take a look at Kevin Ollie. I mean, he's just a few years shy of winning the 2014 National Championship, but they've missed the tournament 2 of the last 3 years. So it's been a struggle the last couple of years for this season. And last season, their first losing season since 86-87, which was Jim Calhoun's first season. They had a lot of guys injured last year. It was actually everyone around the country almost felt bad for them last year with how many guys went down to injury. So this is a team that is trying to prove, kind of reprove themselves again. But we know he's been there. I mean, it didn't take him very long to win a national championship. And you know, he played under Jim Calhoun and then learned under him for a couple of years. And it's funny, we were listening to the story about how he first started practice with Calhoun here at UConn. And after the first week, he called his mother and wanted to go home. And his mom told him to stick it out, tough it out, grow up, be a man. And the guy ended up being one of the all-time greats here at UConn. And he was the perfect guy to pick the next head coach.
Mom's always right is the moral of the story. Blocking foul called on Coppin. Big miss on the front end of the 1-and-1 by Morgan, who was 7 of 7 from the free throw line. So he missed the front end and a foul on the other side. Well, you can see, we talked about at the top of the show how it has been a battle. They had that victory in Oregon at the start of the PK80 Classic, but then lost to Michigan State, lost to Arkansas, and then here at home, last 2 home games, went to overtime against Columbia and Monmouth before the trip down to Manhattan to take on Syracuse. Back in a moment, 7-point game. Back inside Gamble Pavilion, 4 straight points for UConn. 2 free throws by Christian Vitale, also delivered a field goal, and the Huskies have the basketball. They've stretched it out to an 11-point lead with 2:34 to go now against Coppin State. Antoine Anderson. Anderson, the pull-up. Too strong and controlled by the Eagles. Ron Davis gets it back. Davis drops it down, and a foul is called on UConn. Jalen Adams gets whistled for the personal. That's his first.
First one, Adams, 9th on the team.
Adams with a season-high 8 assists for UConn. He has 15 points. That's leading the Huskies in scoring. Larrier with 14 and Vital with 12.
And that's something Kevin Ollie was talking to us about before the game, was just Jalen Adams need to just continue to improve those assist numbers, and he's been doing it.
First free throw missed by Chad Andrews Fulton. 5 points, all in the second half for the junior. Coppin's picked the wrong time to go a little cold from the free throw line. Adams, crazy pass, and Anderson was fouled. That was a high-risk pass by Jalen Adams, and the foul on Coppin will be the 5th on Andrews Fulton.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to make this pass. It's a floater, kind of a slow-paced pass, and it could have gotten picked off. But then the foul, Andrews Fulton, a real energy guy and a tough player, but he fouls quite a bit when he's in the game. And he's out of the game now.
Second player to foul out. Andrews Fulton with those 5 points on 2 of 3 shooting.
I think something UConn could really work on, even in watching this game, is pass fakes. I mean, simple pass fakes against teams that are up in your face and playing that pressure defense. I think they'll minimize the turnovers that way, and you got to use the bounce a little bit more. I say that all the time, but sometimes they get passes picked off for no reason.
Antoine Anderson at the free throw line. 92% free throw shooter. Nine points and holding for Anderson inside of 2 minutes to play. Running hook shot. And a rebound control by Anderson. Anderson. Tipped into the hands of Diarra and knocked out of bounds by Coppin State. 90 seconds to play here at Gamble. .12 on the shot clock for Adams and the Huskies. Trying to put away win number 7. Vital cuts, and he'll go to the free throw line to shoot a couple. Next up for UConn, final exams. And then basketball. 12 days until their next game, because the finals are here. Then they're at Arizona, December 21st. Then at Auburn, their American opener. Wichita State on December 30th.
At least it's home.
It is home. The catch is Wichita State is currently ranked 6th in the country.
Wichita State could win it all. I think they're a top 4 team in the country right now, and it's certainly not going to be an easy schedule for UConn coming up. They've got a few tough ones here. Tulsa and ECU right after that Wichita State game. But these games, certainly learning each day from them. And they've got to continue to just get better.
13 points for Vital. 14 for Larrier, 15 for Adams. Diarra with the block.
And Diarra brings that big presence in there that UConn's been lacking the last couple of seasons. If they could get some more scoring out of their front court, they'll be a lot better off.
Final minute here at Gamble. Adams has his shot blocked. Traore with the block. Shot clock down to 1. And shot rebounded by Coppins Davis. Morgan stepped out of bounds. Well, the takeaways for Coppin State here today, they found Lamar Morgan's offense. You can see how intense he still is here late in the game, but 30 points for the junior. 7 of 11 shooting from outside the three-point line. Excellent playmaking by Karan Davis. 7 assists. go along with his 6 points and 5 rebounds as well.
And I think if you're Juan Davis, you're happy about this game and how his team competed. Because in talking to him before this game, he said, I just want the guys to compete, bring energy, get better each game. We know going into these games, we're not expected to win. So if you don't win, you don't win. If he just wants them to get better and get more confident. We certainly know Lamar Morgan's going to have more confidence after this one.
Vital throws it up, batted around, batted out, and there's the horn, and that's the game.
Both teams showing what they need to work on, and UConn especially. I mean, they were able to pull this one out, and that's the thing. They've had some close games this year, and it's a good sign that they're able to pull them out, even though some of them are against mid-majors. Still some things that they can continue to work on.
Let's focus on UConn for the moment. They really were slow getting things going. They fell behind 8-0 in this game, dialed it up with defense a little bit, and especially on the glass in the first half, that helped put them in front, and it's a lead they never gave up.
That was the key for UConn. I mean, it was all about the defense, the energy, and that's the identity Kevin Ollie wants this team to have, is to have energy defensively, and then that would lead to your offense, and they were able to execute offensively, and yeah, they battled like crazy on the glass. That was what won the ball game for them. They're just a little bigger and stronger.
UConn a plus 24 in rebounding margin. They had 50 total rebounds, 26 total rebounds for Coppin State. And for Coppin State, the record tells the story. 0-10 right now, but put up a pretty good fight in this game. Again, they lost by an average of 25 points a game. And they end up losing here today by 13. Here's what's ahead on the ESPN networks in the American. We mentioned Wichita State will be here in stores on December 30th. They got a matchup in just a couple of minutes with Oklahoma State on ESPN2. Tulane hosting Florida State tomorrow on ESPNU. Don't forget about that Florida-Cincinnati matchup tonight. So wherever you turn tonight,
yeah,
there's something
American
going on.
Games, there are lots of games today. We love Saturdays hoops. I'm looking forward to that Villanova-Temple game coming up on Wednesday too. I mean, that's another one. Temple's played a tough schedule so far, and they're going to play another tough team coming up on ESPN2 this week.
As we mentioned, UConn now with 12 days off to focus on finals. Then they'll be at Arizona and at Auburn before returning home to take on Wichita State in their American opener on December 30th. For Coppin State, their next game, a rivalry game at UMBC coming up on Tuesday. Individually for the Huskies, no one dominating and scoring. 15 points for Adams, 14 points for Larrier, 13 points for Vitala. Good spark for Isaiah Whaley off the bench. He had 8 points, 8 rebounds, and a couple of assists in 24 minutes. And on the other end, Lamar Morgan ends up with a game-high 30 points for Coppin State. He was the only Eagle in double figures, 8 of 12 from the field. 7 of those 8 field goals were three-pointers to pace Coppin.
And UConn doing it by committee. 3 guys in double figures, a lot of decent passing today, and 21 second chance points for the Huskies. 26 of those in the paint, so they dominated the glass.
Shall we go shovel out the cars?
Let's do it. We're ready.
We've been just delaying it as much as possible, but time to go hit the snow. Thanks for joining us here from Gamble. For Julian Biani and our entire crew, I'm Eric Freed. UConn wins it 72-59 the final.